and everyone who is here with us in the building today. I'm going to use my time today to share a few personal stories because, quite frankly, the voices of our constituents are more powerful than anything I could write. I want to share something from Taylor. She wrote to all of us and spoke at the public hearing, so it might sound familiar to you. And yes, Representative Srinivas did mention her as well, but I'm going to share a little bit longer story. Taylor writes, I'm writing to ask you to protect the future of my baby daughter, Eloise. We live in Urbandale, Iowa, and I am pleading with you to consider the implications of House File 583, a bill that would remove basic protections for transgender Iowans and create complications for other Iowans who do not fall neatly into the bill's narrow definitions. Obviously, my toddler is not transgender. She does, however, have a genetic variance that would classify her as, quote, intersex, a term you may have heard but may not understand. You see, when my daughter was about 14 months old, she developed a hernia in her labia, and we discovered that she actually has testes and has 46XY chromosome. Externally, she appears completely female, but her internal sexual organs do not match. Eloise is a beautiful little human, and everyone who meets her just gushes about how perfect she is. She shows empathy for others in a way that I didn't realize was possible in a 20-month-old person. I actually have a picture of Eloise on my desk, and while I know House rules would prohibit me from holding it up for all of you to see, I would more than welcome every member of this body to just kind of swing by my desk before we take a vote so you can actually see the face of the beautiful 20-month-old girl. I hope that got your attention, just my raising my voice like that. The face of the beautiful 20-month-old girl that you are subjecting to future discrimination with this legislation. Let me get back to what Taylor said. I am terrified of what the future may hold for my daughter because of the things beyond her control, because of her genetic variants and intersex traits. I don't know what gender Eloise will identify with when she gets older. And as much as I love having a baby girl, I will cherish and love and protect my child no matter how she identifies. I fear that the world will not be so accepting and loving. HF 583 weakens protections for intersex Iowans like Eloise. It makes it so that she would be unable to change the gender marker on her birth certificate if she ends up identifying as male, despite the fact that we had no idea she had an XY chromosome when she was born. The bill sets a precedent for discrimination against anyone who doesn't fit into a gender binary. I know you are someone's child, just like Eloise is mine. Every intersex Iowan and transgender Iowan is also someone's child, someone's baby. Please don't make existing in this state any harder than it already is for people who are different from what is considered, quote unquote, normal to exist in the world. When it comes to being able to earn a living, having a place to live, or being served by a business or government office, no human should be discriminated against. Please vote against HF 583. I also received an email from a constituent that the supporters of this bill might find surprising. He writes, I'm writing about House File 583 to end transgender civil rights protection. I am conservative and a longtime Republican. I do not support people changing their gender identity, but I recognize that some people have already done this and that others will probably do this in the future. I also think everyone deserves to be treated kindly. Therefore, I do not support this bill. I hope you will vote no when it comes to the House floor. Let's just treat people kindly. And on the other end of the spectrum, here is a note from a student constituent. I am a sophomore at Ankeny High School, and I just want to thank you. Having you on our side is amazing, and I'm so thankful. I just want to say thank you for advocating for queer and trans rights. It can be a struggle for some people with bullying and harassment, so helping with any bit can be of help for students and adults alike in schools. And finally, I want to talk with you about my friend Jackson. Jackson knew he was a boy since he was a child, even though he was born into a girl's body. As a young adult, he was able to start the process of transitioning and aligning with his actual gender identity. When I asked him to tell me more about the long process, the first reaction was to say, "Let me tell you, there are so many steps that no one would fake it." He told me about the physical process, working with doctors and therapists, watching slideshows with all the information so he could be sure. He had to get letters from doctors for every step of the process, not just physically, but also legally, changing his name, updating his birth certificate, his social security information, his driver's license. To be sure, all of this was expensive. Jackson said it was worth it, and he is fortunate to have been able to do so, but not everyone can. Most of all, Jackson is worried that the steps he has taken to be the person he is will be undone against his will. He is worried about the repercussions of this bill, which will put so many people in danger of suicide. He thinks of those who may stop transitioning or will repress their feelings just for self-preservation. He is grateful to be who he was meant to be, but he is scared for so many others, and to be candid, I am too. The last thing he mentioned in our conversation was to ask, why are they doing this to us? We just want to live our lives. I have a great job, my mental health has improved, and I'm married. I will add, his wife is also fantastic, by the way. Everything we are supposed to do. We just want to live the American dream. It has been said that nothing good happens in this building after midnight. The same is true of bills that are crammed through in a week. I've heard an argument made over the last few days that Democrats are just speaking from emotion. I'm sure that it looks like that right now. I won't deny that I am crying. But given that, I will still disagree. We are speaking of facts. We are speaking of the real life experiences of our constituents. We are telling you what this bill will do. And in my opinion, you simply refuse to hear it. But I can't pretend there is no emotion here. We are talking about people's lives. We are talking about how you are taking away the rights of Iowans to simply live their lives, to not be discriminated against, and to achieve the American dream. You know this is wrong. Deep down, you know this is wrong. Colleagues, if you are still on the fence, I beg you to join our opposition. It's not too late. I'm sorry that, in my opinion, some of you are making a decision to care more about politics than your transgender neighbors. I'm sorry that you have decided to make Iowa the first state to take away civil rights from a protected class. Thank you to everyone who has spoken up for civil rights. Thank you to those of you who have come to the Capitol to put real faces and real names to those who are targeted by this shameful and cruel legislation. I see you, I love you. You are Iowans too. Our liberties we prize.